Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions with, and welcome to the show. Uh, we're here. We're here. Glad to be here. First show of the week. We're going to be talking with fellow cinephile, film reviewer, podcaster Jim Tatro. Tatro will be here with us. As you know, Jim has he's got 2 shows of his own. He's got an interview show he does every other Saturday called Shooting the Shit with Jim. And he also is part of the Talking Movies crew, Talking Movies with Sean, Kenny, and Jim, which is a lot of fun to watch as well. Jim has come on pretty quick as far as YouTube goes in the community. He's very much respected and liked, and I don't see why not. I think it's cool. I think he's been one of the funnest people to talk with, and enjoy watching his videos of his film collection. And he's got a lot to say, and we're gonna get a lot of that today. That's for sure. It's starting to warm up here quickly, more quickly than not. Our spring weather is coming quickly. It is 8 o'clock here, and we looking at 43 degrees. That's actually pretty damn warm for us already. But yeah, well, I had a feeling this would happen, and I'm glad it did because there's just been more time to chat. The doorbell has rang, so you know how that goes. As soon as we get the doorbell ringing, we answer it. We don't wait for it. So put your hands together and we'll see if we can ask Jim some hard hitting questions. And here we go. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Yay! Good. I was just sitting here going like, yeah, this is going to be. I think he's going to be here a little early too. Do you find yourself going on earlier when do you go on earlier? How do you go on early before your interview show, or or the regular podcast that you do with Ken and Sean? What time do you usually go up? You yourself, do you like going up 15 minutes early?
Yeah.
Or do you like going on dead on time and just hit the ground running?
Well, no, I always like to talk to the guests in a back room type situation just to get comfortable and, talk and figure out, a little bit of a game plan or what the show is. But I always start the show on time, or try to anyways. But I always try to, like I said, talk to the guest or talk to Kenny and Sean, a good 10 minutes ahead of time just to make sure that there's no technical problems and everything else.
It is different, isn't it? When you do a show, like I don't do it a lot. I just do it like a couple of times. I do it once a month, or I'll do it, with the Midnight Society. We'll do it twice, once a month there too. I tend to. It's that one there is easier to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But since you've gotten into doing interviews, the interviewing is what do you think is more challenging to you? Is it is it the interview part, even though they're all your friends, or
interviewing is not a problem for me because I was a journalism major. That's what I originally aspired to be. I just haven't used those skills in forever, so it's slowly starting to come back to me. But I was always interviewing people back in the day. That's part of what I wanted to do. My dream job, believe it or not, as a child, if I couldn't be a rock star, I wanted to be Roger Ebert.
It's funny. It's like I actually, God, I was going back and I was talking to JT and I remember I still remember the very first interview that I did, the very first time I ever interviewed anybody, and it happened to be a singer whose band I had booked at the Edge. And we went out to have lunch afterwards, and we ended up talking for an hour and a half. We were supposed to be gone for 45 minutes, but actually we were gone for like almost 2 hours. In fact, they had to send somebody out to look for me because I had forgotten. I had forgotten that. It's great that you're interviewing the guests or talking to the guests or the band that's playing, but you do have other things to do.
Right.
Pap is here. Pap is in the house. Glad you're back. Haven't seen you for a while, Pat. So you've been missed. We didn't know what happened to you. Hopefully everything is doing well for you, sir. Thank you again for your comments on yeah. I reviewed black and white movies this week.
Oh,
The last 2 weeks I reviewed Dick Tracy Meets Gruesome, and from 1947, and then
okay.
I did speaking of this, and you appreciate this, we did Nancy Drew, Reporter.
I
And
saw
since
that. I saw
yeah,
that. I didn't watch the video yet. I'm sorry, but I did see the little picture of it, and that immediately caught my eye because I didn't even know they had Nancy Drew movies back then. I just remember the TV show when I was a kid.
it's Nancy Drew has been in a lot. I mean, I always thought that they came out until I read the books. I always thought the movie. Because I remember the TV show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, my sister has these books, so I went and read her books, and then I looked, then I looked to see when they were printed, and they were like printed back in the early 1900s, like 1920s or something like that. And I had no idea that Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys had been so established.
Oh yeah, I used to read those books before the show started, actually, because back in the day when kids actually read books, from the library in school, that was young adult fiction before young adult fiction, So yeah, I gravitated towards any kind of mysteries and stuff. And yeah, the Hardy Boys especially, more than Nancy Drew, of course. But I used to love that show. As a matter of fact, one of my earliest crushes was Pamela Sue Martin from that show.
Yeah. She was a fine. She was really pretty.
Yes. Yes.
And yes, I remember that before she actually starred in a show called Dynasty, and she was doing two shows at once. And I'm not sure whatever. I mean, I know she was very popular for a little bit, and then she's
in the Poseidon Adventure.
She what?
She was in the Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah, 74. I think with the Hardy Boys, 73.
Yes, sir.
And I think the ABC series came on at 7:00, and I want to say it was either came on at 76 or 1977.
Yeah, I was thinking 76, 77 because I was like 10 years old at the time, and it was the Hardy Boys with Sean Cassidy and Parker Stevenson. Yeah,
and Nancy Drew's father was William Shallert, who had a very, very fine career and also was a very popular voiceover actor. You could hear his voice just about anything. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I put those two up. I put the one with Benita Granville up. She did 4 of them, and then Ralph Byrd did 4 Dick Tracy movies back in the day. Back in the early in the 30s and the 40s, they did a lot of franchises like that. They did a lot of because they were cheap to make. See, Pat says he's cutting down on screen time. Well, if you cut out any more as regard to us, you'd be a ghost. Because I haven't seen you on screen in months. So as far as the journalism goes, where did you go to college for that?
Well, I didn't graduate from college. I dropped out to get married like an idiot. But that marriage didn't last. That marriage didn't last. But originally, I was going to go to school at Southern Illinois University. That's where I was going to study. I went to community college before that, and then dropped out after a semester down at SIU because again, fell in love with the wrong girl, and back then, thinking with your wrong brain, I guess, so such is life. But she's the same psycho that was obsessed with Patrick Swayze, by the way. Let's get that out of the way right away.
Oh, you know what? We didn't even make it to 8 o'clock. And already we got Dirty Dancing reference already.
I just said, let's just get it out of the way and get rid of it immediately.
I was waiting for the chat to come in and see which one of those two guys were going to come in and do that to you, Kenny or Sean or even Texas. Right. I was waiting for them to come on in there and mention the Dirty Dancing. I had no intention at all of talking about it. I wanted to let them bring it up because That is like one of the biggest running jokes in our community right now is the fact that
Yep.
you have such a. I mean, I thought I hated Hereditary. I thought that was pretty bad, but damn, your hatred for Dirty Dancing is legend.
The legend grows, it seems.
The legend. Yeah, but is it because of the damn movie because you got forced to see it, or because I'll be honest with you, I don't like that movie for one thing. It's fucking cheesy as hell.
Yes.
That's why I don't
Yes.
like it. It's not.
Yes.
It's
It's got the
not
worst
because.
dialogue in history. Nobody puts
Oh,
baby in the corner. What the fuck does that even mean?
yeah. I mean, it's
and,
just like.
and everybody thinks of it as this big romantic movie, okay? Love stories, as you will. She's supposed to be like 16. He's got to be at least 30. It's like,
hell yeah,
where I come from, that's predatory.
yeah, yeah. 15. Well, it was the Thief South. They call that a wedding day.
Yeah, but that
So
was the Catskills, so it wasn't like the Deep South.
yeah, I never. I'm sitting here and I pretty much have liked Patrick Swayze in everything that he's done. There's
I
not any
love
movie.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
Okay. It's
um,
not a problem with him. It's not a problem with her. It's not a problem with anybody involved with that movie. I just hate that movie
yeah.
on
I
every
just hated
level.
the dialogue. I hated the
I hate it
dialogue.
on every level.
Yeah,
Every
I
level.
mean, it's just the dialogue, the script was just beyond cheesy. The music was just like, it just
No.
the dancing, the way they come in dancing, is like, dude, man, are you doing like a really bad version of a West Side Story or what? I mean, it's like,
It's just a bad movie. It just is.
oh,
And again, I love Patrick Swayze. I'll watch any other Patrick Swayze movie before I'll watch that one, without a doubt.
though there
I
is
can't think
one
of
movie, I gotta say there is one movie that does follow it as far as the cheese factor goes. I mean, as far
Roller
as
Boogie,
no.
because he's in that too.
Oh no. I think as far as the second cheesiest Patrick Swayze movie that I can mention would probably be Red Dawn. Oh,
See, now I love Red Dawn, but that's mainly nostalgia because I was in high school when that movie came out, and I was working at the theater when that movie came out as an usher, and that was the first PG-13 horror movie, the first PG-13 movie,
right.
and released theatrically.
You know what this
And
was?
I'm sorry,
You know what the second PG-13 movie was?
The Woman in Red
Uh,
and
uh
Dreamscape, all three of them
yeah,
came out like within a week.
yep, Dreamscape. Man,
Yep.
Dreamscape's awesome.
Dude, you
talked
ain't gonna
about
find a bigger expert on 80s movies than me. If
uh,
they're mainstream. Now, if you're going with some of these goofy asylum type shit that you and Kenny like, maybe not. But mainstream
wait
80s,
a minute.
that's my bread and butter.
You just did not mention me in the asylum, did you? Oh,
Ugh.
Hobbs is here. Who is here talking trash about one of his favorite movies? I didn't know Red Dawn was one of your favorites, Hobbs.
What, Dirty Dancing or Red Dawn?
I thought maybe he's talking Red Dawn.
Yeah, again, I love Red Dawn, but I hate the remake.
Says you both are incorrect. It's totally not bad, and the music. Oh, he was talking about Dirty Dancing.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I don't disparage anybody who likes that movie. I'm a big believer in taste is subjective. You like what you like, but don't try to tell me that it's like this great cinematic classic. It's not.
No. We we can I will take a moment though now that he's here. Just want to say our condolences to Hobbs, who lost his cat last weekend, and really sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Luna's a good cat. She's entertaining. And of course, Sparky, do you have pets yourself, Jim?
Besides my grandson, no. He's like a monkey, but no. Currently, where I live, they don't allow pets. So, but I was always a dog person myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've always been a cat guy. Always been a cat guy.
See, I'm allergic now for some reason. I had cats. We had cats and dogs when I was a kid. No problem. For some reason, for the last 25 years, anytime I come near a cat and pet it, I immediately break out. It's very strange. I have no idea why.
See, Hobbs is sitting there and says, "You can't tell me it's bad or the soundtrack is that is just crazy." I don't know. I have to go back to I would have to go back to
Again,
I know Diane Warren did the first song, right? Time
yeah,
of
Time of Your Life. Her and Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Patrick Swayze song on that soundtrack is "She's Like the Wind." I mean, it's just, oh my god. And again, I
what was that? I don't know. I don't know which one was cheesier. Was it the Patrick Swayze one, or was it when David Soul did his?
Oh, don't give up on us, baby.
Yeah.
I got them both beat. Don Johnson, Heartbeat.
Oh. Man, that was a time. That was a time during the 80s and the 90s whenever a TV star come out and have a big hit, that was one of the things they try to do was throw them in there and have them cut a single.
I can't believe I forgot. We forgot the most egregious one of all. I just remembered. We forgot the most egregious one of all. Eddie Murphy. Party all the time. Party all the time. Oh, remember that video? And Rick James is in the background going, yeah.
Yeah, Rick. Yeah, he had the straw up his nose and the white powder on his jacket.
He's all coked out, going,
yeah. Oh my Lord! Yeah. Rick James, God, he was so desperate to try to become Prince. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. He never tried to do it again. Good thing.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy can actually sing. That's what gets me. I mean, you see Dreamgirls, he can actually sing.
I would have to hear that live before I would sit there and say that. Kenny is here in the house.
Hey, Kenny. Thank you, brother.
And yeah, man, we already beat you to the punch, Kenny. We thought that Jim decided that he was just gonna get the agony out of the way, but now we're talking super cheesy. Man, if you go around, I guess if you went around to every action hero, I mean, picked out that one movie that they think they would probably agree with you, like Jesus Christ, I like not to have done that movie. I wonder what movie they would actually pick. Like he went and asked Sylvester Stallone or Schwarzenegger, like, what's the one movie that you wish?
Some of them are pretty vocal about it. I mean, Stallone always talks about "Stop or my mom will shoot," and Schwarzenegger tricked him into taking that part. You've heard that story, haven't you?
Yeah.
And Schwarzenegger, which one? Oh, Red Sonja is the one that he always points to, is one that he wishes he could take back. And really? Yeah,
I don't. Wow. Okay, it wasn't that bad.
Red Sonja?
It wasn't that bad. I've seen worse.
Well, it's like getting second-degree burns and saying, at least it wasn't third.
You know what? The one movie I would have thought that I know it's going to get back to him anyway, but Jeff, I love you, buddy. But the one movie I would think that Sylvester Stallone would like to take back was Over the Top. Dude, the only thing missing from that, the only thing missing from Over the Top is the Dirty Dancing soundtrack to it.
Over the Top is bad, but I'll see your Over the Top and I'll raise you Rhinestone with Dolly Parton and Stallone. That movie is god awful. We had that movie for a full week at my theater, right? So for a full week, 4 shows on the weekends, 2 during. No, that was a summer. So that was 4. Okay, so 28 shows. Okay. Of that 28 screenings, I think I heard 2 laughs the entire time. I mean, that movie is horrible.
It looks like we have some folks coming in the house. Mike's DVD and Blu-ray collection to your Mike.
Oh, Mike, how you doing, buddy? I hope you're feeling better, buddy.
The Mighty Dutch Film Buff. You know what I love about his handle? because I
Ramon's
every
awesome.
time, every time I read his handle, I'm always thinking he's a Dutch film buff. Like he's a fan of Dutch films because
Mhm.
I am. Let's see. Let's see. Kenny's movie says Victoria Principal had a top 40 with Andy Gibb. Yeah. Then she broke up with him, and then he snorted himself to death. That was sad. That was,
Yeah.
but that really was. But it wasn't her fault at all. It's just that's the reason why they broke up, because he had a severe drug problem, and she said no, thank you. I
Yeah,
think
she was another one of my early crushes.
Victoria
Earthquake.
Principal. I felt really, yes. And
T-shirt and Earthquake.
speaking of cheesy performances, what's the first thing you think of when you think of Earthquake? When he comes
Well,
down to
besides Victoria Principal and that T-shirt, that whole movie's a cheese fest.
dude,
I
but
mean,
there was one standout in that movie as far as it was cheesy, but he took it to the Velveeta level.
What, Charlton?
The guy who's stalking Victoria Principal.
Oh, yeah, Marjo Gortner.
Oh,
because he used to be in all those Food of the Gods movies and stuff back then.
Dude,
but yeah,
guy could not act to save his life. Oh, he was horrible.
Yeah, I love Walter Matthau's little cameo as the pimp in the bar, though. That it's never fails to crack me up.
Oh, I didn't mind Earthquake, but I'm just curious toward the end. At the end of the movie, talk about just like, really. So here he is.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Yeah, you got a drunken Ava Gardner, and you're trying to get rid of her for and you're going like, and if you're Charlton Heston, you got a really fine ass woman sitting looking at you.
Genevieve Bujold.
Yes. The first captain of Voyager, by the way.
Genevieve Bujold.
You got a fine woman right there to come on, and then you're down there and you're looking at you drunk Ava Gardner. She wasn't even a princess. She wasn't even like heroic.
No, she was a bitch during the whole movie.
Yeah, the whole movie. And you're Charlton Heston, and you're gonna get there and say, "Yeah, I'm going down with the ship." It's like everybody's going like, "What the?"
That's Moses being brave.
Oh,
that's Ben Hur, man.
man,
he's got to do the heroic thing. It's Chuck,
Yeah, but Ben Cartwright was much more heroic in that movie.
Yeah,
far more. If you're gonna compare heroics, we got to go with Ben Cartwright. The only thing, come on, Hollis, help me get this chair down this building here. Okay, Pa.
And then keel over with a heart attack.
Yeah, which is ironic because that's what happened to Dan Blocker. He killed over with a heart attack.
I know.
Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah, I love Earthquake because that's one of my very first theatrical memories, and I saw it in Sense-Around.
I was going to say,
when I was like,
when
I was like 6 or 7 years old, and yeah, that's just one of those memories that I own it on Blu-ray, and I still watch it occasionally. I mean, it's one of those movies I'll always love.
Sense-Around was cool. The last two movies they ran out there and Sense-Around, I couldn't believe that looking back at it, I couldn't believe they were like the last two that ran. At least they ran in my theater, and it was the pilot for Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. He got a theatrical release.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then the last one that had Sense-Around that I remember was the first episode of the pilot film for Battlestar Galactica.
Wow. Because I know they released that in theaters too, the Galactica 1980 or something like that they called it, or something like that. I saw, as far as I know, I saw 3 films in Sense-Around that I can remember for sure. Earthquake, Midway, and also with Charlton Heston, and Roller Coaster.
Okay, so what was worse, Earthquake or Midway?
Worse? What do you mean?
As far as which movie was worse to you? As far as
I like them both. I own them both. I like them both.
You own the 76 version of Midway?
I do not own the remake. I own the original with Henry Fonda and Charlton Heston and Glenn Ford and everybody and their brothers in that movie.
I swear to God, I never thought. I mean, come on. I also got there and just buy myself a lottery ticket right now. I never thought I'd meet the one fucker that went out there and bought that movie, and it's you.
Yep.
I mean,
It's just like last week. I never thought I would ever meet anybody who liked King Kong Lives, and it turned out to be Sean.
let's see. Kitty, see, Hobbs is in there saying, "Good night, folks. You all lost it." Yeah, we've lost it. Kitty mentioned Victoria Principal had it. Yeah, we did that one. Our good friend Dutch says he liked Rhinestone because it's hilariously bad. It is bad.
He's half right.
Tom mentioned Lauren Green and on Earthquake. Yep, that's right. Mr. Dana Horton's house. Anybody ever see Roller Coaster in the theater? I never saw that in the theater. I saw that on TV.
Yeah, I don't own that one though.
Battlestar Galactica, John Cleese and his robots, the Cylons. Yep.
Absolutely.
The narrator for the Battlestar Galactica. Who was that?
I have no idea. I'm sure if you tell me, I'll know. But
that would have been Patrick McNee from the Avengers.
Oh, see, I never would have guessed that.
Let's see. Kenny says, Mr. Danaher, I remember it was a Channel 17 favorites back when we used to have independent TV, and they were still, man, we were just talking about that too, about having Pap and I were talking about that because I was watching those black and white movies, back in the day, man. Dick Tracy meets Gruesome, man, that would be on like 2:00 in the morning, be like one of those. It was like an hour-long movie, but they stretched that son of a bitch for 2 hours just to get the commercials in, and then they would play it to death. Do you remember watching those movies when we only had 3 channels? Because you and I remember this. They used to have the 3 networks, and then they have all of the independent stations.
Yeah, the UHF stations.
God, they used to overplay everything. What's the one TV show that it always seemed was on when you came home? Like as soon as you came home, it was always.
Oh, when I came home from school, it was constantly. Let me turn down my phone real quick. I'm sorry. My wife's asking how long our show is. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
It's 5 hours.
Yeah, no shit. When I'd come home from school, the Brady Bunch was always on. And they would always have, in Chicago, which was the closest major city that I lived by, that's where all of our stations came out of. And they had a station which is now the Fox affiliate, but back then it was a UHF station. And they were the ones that during the afternoon after school, they would run the Banana Splits. Remember that damn show? La, 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 But it was always the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and Get Smart. Those 3 shows were on constantly. And I watched them every day. Every day.
We used to have a TV station here in LA called KCOP, KCOP, and they used to run the hell out of Get Smart.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they would play that thing maybe like 5 or 6 times a day.
Yeah, I love that show. And Mel Brooks, that was a Mel Brooks created show.
Another interesting
him and Buck Henry were co-creators on that.
Another interesting trivia question for you too is, how many times does Siegfried pop up on the show?
It's a good question because it's been 40, 50 years since I've watched that show.
Get Smart had an adversary. It was
I know what you're talking about.
And just it's like, I mean, he was, and remember as much as Maxwell Smart was, but how many times did he come on the show?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm actually thinking, because I know he did appear at least once, but I'm pretty sure it was more than that.
It was only 3 times.
Okay, I knew it wasn't a lot, but I knew he was on more than once.
Oh my gosh, he was the one thing that came out of the show. He was the one character that came out of the show that was just as famous as Don Adams was, the Get Smart character.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. No Raj, no rerun, no. Oh my God. What's happening?
What's happening?
Okay, now we're talking about all the. Oh, I did. I lived in California till I was 35. Then I moved to Michigan. But back there in California,
Excuse me.
man, I used to watch all those shows. I remember when Elvira first started coming on. She
Hmm.
was she used to do the independent Saturday night horror movie on KHJ Channel 9.
Yeah.
And then she went syndicated. But for a while, it was just her. It was, and they have the TV studio, and she come out there and do her show. And unless you weren't in the LA area, you didn't see it. But because she was so popular, then I'm not sure how long it took for her to go from local to do syndicated, but it didn't seem that long.
No.
But yeah, people started talking about it after the first episode. They were talking how she was busting out all over, and they weren't kidding.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, we used to have
oh,
Creature Feature when I was a kid, and then it turned into Svengoolie, and then it was Son of Svengoolie, which I think is a syndicated thing, and they probably had 25 Sons of Svengoolie by now, but I
he's still
remember
kicking.
when I was a
He's still
real
kicking.
small kid, it was Creature Feature, and it was like 10 o'clock on Saturday nights, and they would just basically play all the black and white horror. My older brother Greg, the one that passed away last year, he was babysitting me when I was about 6 years old, and was supposed to put me to bed, and of course didn't put me to bed, let me stay up as long as I didn't tell mom and dad, and he let me stay up, and I watched Night of the Living Dead, and it
Oh,
traumatized me. But it turned me into a horror movie fan.
I guess
As much as
that
it
movie.
terrified me, it turned me into a horror movie fan. Because then I
I
saw
think
like Young Frankenstein about a year later,
I think
theatrically,
I think
and that sealed the deal.
I think Dawn of the Dead. I think not or Night of the Living Dead. I think it has pretty much traumatized everybody. Whether they become a
Well,
horror fan or not, a horror fan or not. I mean, you can watch the movie as a horror movie, and you can also watch it as a social commentary movie. I mean, it still holds. It still holds. You know.
I agree, but unfortunately, a lot of younger people these days, when they watch it, they think it's boring. They would rather. I mean, they don't. They say the same thing about the original Dawn, which to me is the greatest horror movie of all time. You know, but they've gotten used to the running zombies. Like in 28 Days Later or in the remake of Dawn of the Dead, or whatever. World War Z, all this CGI bullshit, and it's like back then those movies. I mean, the original Night of the Living Dead became synonymous with talking about the equal rights movement and this and that and the other. But at the time, it wasn't that at all. George Romero cast a black actor simply by circumstance. He happened to be the best qualified actor who auditioned for the role. And then at the end of the movie, when he gets shot, because of the time frame that movie came out, suddenly people attached more importance to it than what was originally intended. Okay, now it's become that thing. Now, when he did Dawn of the Dead, on the other hand, that was very deliberate about
Yeah.
the whole message about consumerism and everything else. And with the third movie, it was all about the military complex. Okay, and those movies are definitely message movies, but the first
It,
one became one just by circumstance and through reputation.
it's fun. It's sort of interesting how, to me, like when we talk about remakes, and good lord, I mean, everybody's being remade. And it's just ironic that, we're always talking about how the remakes are never any good. They're never. I mean, you could almost count up on your hands as many as the remakes that we've done that have been better than the original. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think of two right off the bat. I think of True Grit as one. I think Jeff Bridges was. I think that movie was just, it just blows the first one out. And to me, the second one was the Dawn of the Dead. I mean, I loved the first one. I went and saw it in the theater. That's my
Mm-hmm.
first time I ever had to go, and where my mom would just drop me in and my friends off, and they knew us. They knew us. The theater
Mm-hmm.
people, they knew. It was the first movie like I got dropped off, and they were coming up saying, "Tell your parents to come here." That's the first time, the only time that they ever made us, like, have our parents sit there and say, "Is it okay for your kids to come in?" Because they were running that on TV, saying how absolutely nobody under 17 would be admitted.
Nobody under 18. That movie was rated
Probably,
X.
yeah, and they said absolutely nobody, and so it was the only movie I ever saw that had ever stopped me from going in under 8. So
Yep.
I had to get I had to get my parents to go in there and okay it before I could watch it.
Excuse me.
And then of course that was my favorite moment of that whole movie was watching 3 people run up and getting sick.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was the best. Running up there, watching like you hear that here it comes, and you hear the person down there, then running up there, their hands over the mouth, and they weren't making it. They were getting sick. Yeah. But as far as remakes go, though, I mean, think about it. As far as I think about it, anyway, and as far that's just it's so rare. Even though we have the technology, and we have the actors. I heard a lot of people say, "Well, yeah, well, you can't." Jeff heard me talking shit. I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. I knew if I said that, I knew it would. It'd be. Hi, Jeff. How are you? Hi, Elaine. Man, I knew he's coming for me.
Getting back to what you were saying about remakes, though, before I lose my train of thought. To me, the best remakes were the ones that they did in the 80s, okay? And 3 immediately come to mind. The Thing, The Fly, and The Blob, okay? And to me, the difference is back then when they made a remake of a movie, it was made with love. Nowadays, it's simply because of name recognition. Everything is based on an IP. And they don't give a shit about the story. They don't give a shit about the characters. They don't give a shit about the effects. It's all about name recognition. How many butts can we get into that audience that first weekend? And then we can sell it to streaming services. It is now a corporate product more than ever before.
How about Maya Hawke? Maya Hawke, she went public and she said that now whenever she does, because she's trying to get into the business, and and we've seen this. Anybody who's watched 8 Questions With knows this is a real thing. But now we're starting to see it. Now we're starting to come out in the mainstream that this is happening, and I think people are really like, really, and that is, a lot of these actors now, they're not getting these roles necessarily because of their talent. They're getting the roles because of how big their social media is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We're not talking people like you and me. Like when we go up there and they're talking like people with like names, like people like how many followers do you have? So if let's say if someone like Maya Hawke, whose father is Ethan Hawke, let's say Maya has 20,000 followers, and yet Jane Doe, who nobody knows about, she has 200,000 followers.
They're going to Jane Doe.
Yeah, they're starting to go with Jane Doe now. How about that? Let's see. Hi, Jeff.
That's just a continuation of society for the last 20 years, though, because people are famous for being famous.
Jeff wants to know what he's supposed to have heard. Do you want to tell him? You should tell him, Jim. You should tell him. Maybe he'll take the heat off me. Since we're talking about cheese and oh my God, I'm dead. I knew this was going to happen. I should have shut my mouth. So we were talking about, we were asking what actors, if you asked them, what actors, what movie would they remove from their
Gotcha.
Yeah, what movie would you think that they would not want to do? They would do over or not do it. And we were talking Sylvester Stallone. Yeah.
Rhinestone. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take the heat on Rhinestone all day long. That movie's horrible. You will never find another bigger Dolly Parton enthusiast than my wife. Okay. When Dolly Parton, God bless her, when she passes from this earth, my wife will be wearing black for a decade. Okay, that's how much she loves that woman, and even she thinks that movie's a piece of shit.
Look, we didn't even say anything. We didn't say anything at all. look, he just walked in there and says, "Oh, so some over the top bashing again, dude. You were
Oh, Over the Top. Okay, the best thing about Over the Top is the soundtrack.
wow. You're a true friend, Jim. Way to take a bullet for my ass.
I'm sorry, I don't like that movie either.
We're gonna get, dude. It's
That
just
kid.
it's not the actor, like it's not the
I wanted
actor.
to slap the shit out of that kid.
It's just the story. It's like I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't know.
Watch the Canon doc, Electric Boogaloo, when they
Oh my
talk
God.
about Over the Top.
Yeah.
Because even
Oh my
Stallone was like, what the hell am I doing? But then they gave him like $25 million to be in that piece of shit. And he was like, okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I understand that movie's got a lot of fans. Okay. And I love cheesy movies. The other night we were sitting on the Kenny and Sean channel, and I brought up Stone Cold, and you were like shaking your head or whatever. And it's like, hey, that movie's
Stone
not
Cold.
good. That movie is not good. I absolutely love it.
Everybody loves it. That is the definition of a cult favorite. But
it's a horrible movie.
It's also a definition of a pariah victory. Like we won. It's like 300, right? When there comes Leonidas to the 300, every single one of those fuckers are going to die. Custer, last stand. Okay, wow, they're killing a lot of Indians, but they're still going to die. You know that. It's just not all it is. They're gonna die. Yeah, it's
it's cheese, but it's gourmet cheese.
Yeah, I mean,
Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I put that in the same category. It's cheese, but it's gourmet cheese.
Dude,
it's just fun.
Henderson did. That guy has done a lot of cheese. I mean, he's
great. I love Lance Henriksen. I would watch him read the phone book. Seriously, he's one of my favorite actors and always has been.
Man, that's why Quick and the Dead. I mean, I've seen a lot of people when they talk about westerns, and you and I, we love westerns, and I have to sit there and tell you, man, it's sort of cool to see the Quick and the Dead get to start getting some respect.
I love that movie. It is so much fun.
Always ragged on. It was always ragged on because of the camera angles and Sharon Stone. People didn't like Sharon Stone.
The camera angles, that's Sam Raimi. I mean, every Sam Raimi movie has that. Spider-Man has that.
Yeah.
And people loved it,
I loved it too. I loved it too. And the cast was great. I mean, we're talking about Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman was having a blast.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that if you went to Gene Hackman and say, how was your experience on that? He would have said he had a hell of a time.
Yeah.
Because everybody in that movie looked like they were having fun. Even Sharon Stone.
In that movie, like you said, that cast is stacked. I mean, you could take the 4 leads out of it, okay, and just go by the character actors underneath, and you'd still have a great cast. I mean, it's just so deep, I mean, everybody and their brothers in that movie.
Kevin Conway was in that. He was the was the one who was messing with the little girl.
Yep. Hey, little girl.
Oh my God, that guy! That's one of my favorite character actors ever.
Tobin Bell, David Keith, Gary Sinise, Pat Hingle. I mean, everybody's in that movie.
Man, and people are just they're just now getting off their duff and realizing how great that movie is. Personally, there's and they're taught it's really strange too because Gene Hackman passed away.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
I watched him in that and Quick and the Dead. I absolutely loved him in that movie.
Yeah,
the one movie I think was overrated by far was Unforgiven.
Oh, I love Unforgiven. I won't say anything bad about Unforgiven. I mean,
if you go back there and he put Little Bill against the mayor, dude. Come on, Gene. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's trying to carry the weight too much on his shoulder. I don't know. But all I know is that I watched those 2 movies back to back, and Gene Hackman seems to be having a hell of a lot more fun.
Because it's more of a cartoon. You know,
Maybe.
he's
Yeah.
playing a similar character, but it's more of a caricature of that character that he played in Unforgiven to me. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I just thought that Forgiven was sort of like a maybe an episode of Rawhide on
well, it's
steroids.
an anti-Western. That movie is. It's an anti-Western. I mean, it's about the consequences after you pull the trigger. You know,
Hmm.
as opposed to every other Western, it leads up to pulling the trigger. You know what I mean? If that makes sense at all.
Let's see. Best movie from a singer. Kenny's throwing up Cool as Ice.
Yeah,
We're
he's
not.
in love with that movie. I still haven't seen it.
Let's
Uh,
see.
best
Unforgiven
movie
might
from a
be his all-time favorite performance of Gene Hackman. He's absolutely excellent in that. He was really excellent in the Poseidon Adventure too.
yeah. That's when I
Really
got that
good.
one on my shelf too.
Yep.
I'm a big disaster movie guy.
Yep. We got the yeah. You talk about disaster movie and the remake. How in the hell could see that's again? You go back and you look at a remake. They made actually they made a sequel. It was Return to the Poseidon Adventure with Telly Savalas
No,
and
Beyond the Poseidon Adventure
Beyond. Well, it should
with
have.
Michael Caine.
And Telly Savalas. He played the leader of the Crooks.
Yeah.
Um, they should have never made that movie. Um, Unforgiven is so darn good. It is good. It's good. It's a good movie, but I don't think it's like a Nora from the Oscars. A
Haven't
Nora's
seen
a
it.
good movie. A Nora's a good movie, but is it Oscar winning? Is it Oscar winning? I don't think so.
Haven't
Um,
seen it yet.
yeah. I mean, Tom Baker said, of course, Brokeback Mountain was the toughest Western. You know what, Tom? I agree with you on that. I absolutely agree with you. I think that's one of the most brave movies either one Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger ever did. I think that's a brave movie. And it's very yeah. And what's the other one with Hillary Swank? Even the cowgirls
Boy,
get the blues.
Boys Don't Cry.
Boys don't cry again.
Yeah.
But I think Unforgiven. I just when I saw it, I loved it. I mean, it's good, but I also think too it's just almost like it's almost like a rawhide with some steroids in it. It's a great show, but it just didn't really carry me to the way like to shoot us, to me like to shoot us. That's just classic to me.
Yeah.
I mean that movie moves the hell out of me. Maybe because it is John Wayne, because he was really dying on that movie.
Yeah.
And you think about
That was his last movie.
anti-Western, I don't know if you could actually. I think The Shooters was far more of an anti-Western than Unforgiven was.
Well, maybe I misspoke. I think it's more anti-violence, you know, about how your past catches up to you and such, you know, because again, you
How?
know, he was all, you know, this bad man who changed his ways and stuff. And I love the scene where they tell him that Morgan Freeman got killed and he takes the bottle and he just starts drinking. And the moment that he does, you can just see his eyes change. And it's like, I love Clint Eastwood. I've always loved Clint Eastwood, but to me, that moment is the best bit of acting that Clint Eastwood ever did in his entire career. It's just so good in that moment, you know. And that's the
Yeah,
main reason why I love that movie so much. It's so effective, you know, to me. But it's not my favorite Western or anything. I mean, I'd rather watch The Outlaw Josie Wales, you know,
I was just thinking about
or
how you were saying that with Clint Eastwood, and I remember that on The Shooters for John Wayne. He's trying to set him up. He's trying to go out on the shield. The doctor tells him, Jimmy Stewart tells him, like, I do not want to die. I want to die the way you're going to die.
Mhm.
And he says, well, fine, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go after three meanest son of a bitches in this town that can carry iron. And one of them's got to get me. One of them's got to get me. I can't beat all three.
Right.
And he goes out there and, he shoots Wyatt Earp. He shoots fucking Paladin. Fucking A. But shoots Paladin.
That hurt.
Yeah, yeah, that's fucked up. But so there he's and here comes the bartender. He gets him and Ron Howard, of course, he grabs the gun and he shoots the bartender and he has the gun in his hand and Booth is looking at him I know, and it was a decision to be there. Is like he could hold on to the gun and take a step toward that life,
Yep.
or he could get rid of it. And then when he throws it away and he shakes his head, nods his head, like he made the right choice, and then he passes. Dude, that's just fucking some powerful filmmaking right there.
Yeah,
Some great
no,
acting.
I remember seeing it. I haven't seen that movie in years, but I saw that one as a kid because my
I
dad
know
was a big John Wayne guy. You
and
know,
that was actually funny. It's actually funny is that was actually the very first time when I saw that. That was actually the very first time that I ever saw Richard Boone before I knew about How Gun Will Travel. I didn't know about How Gun Will Travel till God, I hate to say it. I never watched that show at all until I moved here, and they showed it on Stars on a New Year's Eve, and they said we're going to be showing you Have Gun Will Travel because they had a Western channel. Man, I put that on there, and I sat there for I think I must have watched 6 hours worth of the shows. I watched 6 hours. I'm sitting there going, man, this is the best fucking Western I've ever seen.
well, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Earlier, you were talking about shows that used to be on Sunday afternoons on one of those UHF stations, WGN, what became WGN. Okay, but on Sunday mornings, they would always run westerns, and it was always The Lone Ranger, Cisco Kid, and Have Gun Will Travel, and The Wild Wild West. And I watched them all when I was a kid, constantly. Wild Wild West was my favorite, but Have Gun Will Travel was definitely better than the other two, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're talking about yeah, he looked really rough in the shootist. John Wayne and Richard Boone, they basically were the last two, and Clint Eastwood, they were really basically like the last, I guess, last three cowboys of the 70s. The 70s saw the end of the cowboy movie. I mean, and a lot for the most part, a lot of those cowboy movies went out in the 70s, just like anything else. As soon as you saw John Wayne and the Shooters, as soon as you saw him, you knew he wasn't going to make it. Nobody, no hero made it in the 70s. You watch any movie in the 70s, as soon as you saw the main hero, you're going like, yeah, yeah, he's done.
Except for Clint. Except for Clint.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if he did not die in any of his movies.
Not back in the day.
He
might have died in Tarantula.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think he ever died in in the 70 movies. He might be the only one.
Yeah.
I think everybody else they were behind the farm.
I mean, Bronson used to make it in his movies, but
I saw Rio Lobo with Jennifer O'Neill. Man, that was a great movie too.
Rio Lobo and Rio Bravo were heavy rotation movies.
He did die. I take it back in the 70s. He did die. His character did die in High Plains Drifter. Then he came back as a ghost. So he did die in the 70s movie. He did die. That's my hope.
But
everybody died.
Come on now. Yeah, that's stretching it.
Everybody died in the 70s. Watch a 70s movie and see. Tell me a movie, a drama or horror or suspense where the hero walked out of it without getting killed.
Capricorn 1. Only one of the heroes.
Two of the astronauts bought the farm. That was the first time
I was OJ, so that's okay.
That was the first time I ever saw Hal Holbrook play a villain. To see Death Wish, the detective Vincent Gardenia, he died in the second one. His friend, the police friend, he died in the second one. Yep. Nobody survived.
I'm trying to think of any other ones other than
any creature feature that you saw. They all died. You could even go there. I mean, you think about it. You were talking about Marjo Gordner, Food of the Gods. They died. Empire of the Ants.
They died.
Kingdom of the Spiders. William Shatner bought the farm.
Yep. And I saw every one of those pieces of shit theatrically.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of wait a minute. We got to talk about Charles Bronson. I think Charles Bronson.
See, I was going to say Bronson. Like he didn't die in Mr. Majestic. He didn't die in The Mechanic. He
didn't die in Breakout.
Yeah. So, although Breakout's got one of the greatest endings ever on that runway. That shit is hilarious.
How about the scene for a PG-13 movie, and Ashley gives Robert Duvall, and they're trying to get out, and the guy runs in the propeller. Oh my God!
It is
The
obviously a mannequin, paper mache mannequin.
even though the scene was shot, they panned it away, dude, and you can still see him hit the propeller and splatter like that. That was
But
just
he
like,
doesn't splatter. I got it on Blu-ray, and I'm telling you, it's obviously a paper mache mannequin. It's hilarious.
man, I just remember seeing that and like, that's right, he did. Okay, Bronson did die in The Mechanic.
No, he blew up Jan Michael Vincent.
Yeah, but Jan Michael Vincent poisoned him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Shit, that's
right.
right.
That's right.
That's right. Yep.
You don't survive. He didn't survive the 70s. He didn't survive. Everybody died in the 70s.
But he didn't die in Mr. Majestic. I know that.
No. I actually read a lot of Alistair MacLean books. Alistair MacLean was like one of my first cut my teeth on as an early adventure novel. Man, he wrote some great books too. He wrote some fantastic books. Guns and Navarone, he wrote that. Force 10 from Navarone.
Got that one on my shelf.
Roger Moore did one called Folks, where he plays his old captain surrounded by cats. Love that.
Also known as the Sea Wolves.
Let's see. Bronson lived in the Twilight Zone. Yes, absolutely. One of the best episodes of Twilight Zone. Episode called 2 with Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery. That's absolutely one of my favorites. That's top 10 Twilight Zone right there. Actually, I want to say I'm trying to figure out who was the first person. I know that Paladin killed him in an episode. Paladin killed Bronson in an episode. He might have killed him twice. Oh yeah, great episode. Wow. So you were talking about, when your first horror movie was the movie that got you into horror movies. What was it about that what had appealed to you about that? And what do you remember what movies you started watching after that? I mean, in a sense, you actually since you can actually say that Night of the Living Dead was a foreshadowing of the 70s.
Well, again, I saw Night of the Living Dead in the mid 70s because when it came out, I was a baby. So, but I saw it on Creature Feature, and it was like the forbidden fruit type thing, the taboo type thing. I think that's what the attraction was, even though I was like watching it behind fingers like this because I was like, 6, 7 years old. It just, something about it just exhilarated me. And then, like I said, shortly thereafter, about within the same year or so, Young Frankenstein came out, and I saw that theatrically with my family, and I saw that you could have something that is scary and funny. Now that movie's not scary, okay, but to a 6-year-old at the beginning, where you're seeing the coffin and it opens up and the skeleton's holding on to it and they're trying to get the book out of his hands, to a 6-year-old on the big screen, that was kind of freaky, But then the rest of the movie, I'm laughing hysterically. And it's like, wow, I had that same feeling that I had being scared while I was laughing in Young Frankenstein. And from that point on, it was like I didn't actively search out horror movies, but I wasn't afraid of them. I wasn't really allowed to see them. I mean, my parents, I saw Jaws 2 before I saw Jaws.
Oh, really?
Because my parents thought I was too young to see Jaws when it came out. But when Jaws 2 came out, I was 11 years old. So I saw it. And then about 6 months later, they re-released Jaws, and then I saw that one theatrically. But by that point, I knew everything that happened in that movie because with having 4 older siblings who had already seen the movie, there's a spot where the head pops out. There's a spot where the girl gets pulled down. And so I knew that shit was coming, They ruined The Exorcist for me. Same thing. I was way too young to see The Exorcist. By the time I saw it, I knew everything that was going to happen before it happened. So it didn't scare me, But when I saw movies like The Omen at the drive-in with my parents when I was 9, okay, they thought I was asleep in the back seat, but I wasn't. I was watching that shit. That terrified me. but I loved it. You know,
I remember seeing the trailer for The Omen with the dogs, of having that creep the hell out of me. Man,
you know,
and the other trailer that got me during the 70s, I'll tell you the truth, it got me. Now, I mean, I was like, of course, I didn't see it till months later, but the one trailer that got my ass really good was Suspiria.
I was going to say Suspiria. That damn trailer freaked
Oh,
me out. The
hell yeah.
radio trailer freaked me out. I mean, it was just something about Suspiria scared the living shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't see that until I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I saw that. I remember the dogs from the Omens. They're walking and growling. They're Dobermans. And
No,
then
Rottweilers.
that one lady combing her hair, and then she turns around, it's a skull, and I'm going like, I'm out of here. I'm just like,
In the original Omen, it's a Rottweiler
is
because
there a lot? I thought it was a Doberman.
no,
There's two
Dobermans are in the cemetery when David Warner and Gregory Peck are digging up the grave, but the actual protector, so to speak, dog was a big ass Rottweiler, and that movie terrified me as a 9-year-old. But I've loved Rottweilers ever since, and I've wanted to own one ever since. And if I ever get one, I'm going to call it Damien.
Let's see. Mr. Dan is saying the trailers for Magic and The Shining.
Yeah, that I own that one too.
Yeah, I remember the one for Magic. I remember that, but I don't remember that one or The Shining got me. I actually those are the. I mean, trailers are really good. I mean, they used to be so good back in the day.
Yeah.
God, they
didn't give away the movie.
It's a lost
like they
art.
do now.
It's not only that. I tell you one thing. Not only do they not they tell you the story, but Jesus Christ, the music is so generic. It's absolutely generic. You go back and listen to some of this, and this is really unforgivable because a lot of these movies, a lot of these independent films, what they have that they play the same fucking riff, and everything is always hard rock and roll, and it's like I can't tell you how unimaginative and it makes me not want to watch a film when I hear the same type of music that you play on everyone else. It's the same thing. I just have no desire to see your movie because you're not showing me any imagination. You got to, that's your job when you're especially when you're doing horror or horror or suspense. You have to get me spooked. You have to get me to start thinking about your movie, even if I'm not scared of it, so to speak. But you're thinking about it. You're thinking about, man, I really want, and more so than just because of who you have, because most of the time, independent movies, they don't have any big name stars, so you got to go with what you got. And for me, it's your score. If you have a really good score, like It Follows, you'll have my ass in the seats all the time. It follows. It follows is just absolutely memorizing because of that damn score.
Okay, here comes our big argument of the night. I think that movie's overrated as hell, and that score to me is just a John Carpenter ripoff. That's all it is. And I find it irritating. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. He likes Hereditary, so it's way even.
Yeah, like I said, it's all subjective.
I don't have to say anything because you claim Hereditary.
Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's
it is what it is.
Yeah, though. I mean, that's but I do think though for independent horror, because that's what we pretty much watch and collect. Even the movies we're talking about earlier. Kenny can back us up here. Like even the movies, even the scores from the movies like from The Asylum or Wild Eye or those type of movies, they may not have the best budgets, and we all know this going in. I mean, you can't sit there and tell me you expect when someone says, I watched an Asylum movie, man, it looked like it got moved for $10. Do you not think, who do you think you're preaching to here? Do you think that's shocking to us? When you come out there and sit there and you're trying to roast it, you're trying to say, yeah, that Asylum movie, it looked like it got made for $30. Do you really think you're really shocking anybody with that?
Right.
No, no, horror fans, we come to know this. We know what we're getting. You can't sit there and get a Wild Eye movie and come back there and say, "Man, this really sucks. It's the worst thing I ever saw." Dude, all it would take you like 10 minutes worth of research and know that Wild Eye reputation for their movies are not really particularly, they're not really,
Right.
yeah, they're not on Rotten Tomatoes. So, to come back there and try to tell us something that we already know, but those movies they really still do. Can't believe you. Man, Halloween, please, John Carpenter's. Uh, but It Follows was the independent film, and it came out there, and it just was booming. That soundtrack was elevated. And that's really all I ask for independent horrors. Look, we know you don't have that much money, but whatever you do, try to elevate it. You know,
Yeah.
with and to me, it's like do it through your score. We know you don't have the best money for the effects or the bigger budget or what have you, but Jesus Christ, if you can get a movie with a good score in it, good music in it to pump it up, to get the people, you got me. I'm a huge score fan.
Oh yeah,
Not
no,
score,
a
sound,
score can make or break a film. There's no doubt about it. You know, have you ever seen the movie Ravenous?
That's the one with
Guy Pearce
Carlisle.
and Robert Carlyle and David Arquette.
Is that
It's a
movie
it's
supposed to be? Is that movie supposed to be funny, or is it supposed to be like
it's a very dark comedy horror movie. It's about cannibals, okay, but it's not like it's like the Donner Party, okay, type thing, okay. But the reason why I brought that up because you were talking about scores. That movie has a very very off kilter score that either you'll love it or it's like listening to nails on a chalkboard for 2 hours. You know, the first time I saw that movie theatrically, that score drove me up a wall. I was like, oh my God, I love this movie, but I wish I could mute that score, you know? And then I got it on Blu ray and I watched it and it's not as pronounced and it actually complements the movie more. And it's like, I've totally done a 180 on it, you know? But I was hoping that you had seen it because I would really want to know what your thoughts were on that score because it's a very odd score.
I still have yet to see the Ravenous. I don't know. I don't think I have a copy of it either. I know the movie though. I do
Yeah,
know about it. I remember when it came. I remember
it's
when it came
available
out.
on Scream Factory for like $10. It's pretty cheap.
Okay, not bad, not bad. Let's see. Go back to the chat because Schofield says Schofield says the good, bad, and the ugly has my favorite movie score. Would be the
Yeah,
same without it. Man,
yeah, absolutely.
I love for a few dollars more. That
Yeah, but
ending with Lee Van Cleef and Clint and the main bad guy
yeah,
with the oh damn, that's some shit right there. That's
that good, bad, and the ugly score from Marconi to me is the greatest score of all time. It is. It's just it's a masterpiece.
I
But
don't know what
the
you
one
know what.
that's underrated to me that nobody ever talks about except for me, and I bring it up all the time, Conan the Barbarian.
Hell
That
yeah, that's a great
musical score is incredible. You
hell
listen to
yeah.
that opening music, bum 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 bum, with the drums. It's like
Right.
if your heart don't start pumping, man, you're dead. I mean, it's one of those beautiful scores. I love it.
It's funny we talked about this before. I've talked about this before, but man, my for a long time. Jeff mentions let's see, Sarah mentions she has Asylum with Beverly Mitchell. I'm not sure if I saw that one. I knew though. I think she did do a Lifetime movie. I don't know if I've ever seen it though. And Jeff saying it's Once Upon a Time in the West for me. The Good and the
Yeah.
Bad and the Ugly at number two. Um,
What's Pound Time in the West score is also
I
incredible.
was gonna say one thing that gets me is for the longest time I absolutely mean as far as scores go, I was for me it was always James Horner. Man, I was the biggest Horner slappy there was. Man, as soon as it said John, Horner on there, I was James Horner. I was all about it. But it was like after he passed away. It was
Mm.
after he passed away, and I don't know what it was, but I got into I was watching movies, and I remember watching The Perfect Storm, and I'm watching The Perfect Storm, and I'm going like, I've heard this before. The first time I saw the movie, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I've heard this before. I've heard this music before. And it was just like, I don't know where, but it's in the back of my head. Then I watched Troy, and I'm going like, oh, I've definitely heard this before. I know who I heard it from too. I heard it from fucking Horner. It's him. He did Troy. And he's doing another one. Going like,
Yep.
I think there's. I mean, I think he's listed some tracks from this movie, and he put it in Troy or something.
Yep.
I mean, and also I started listening to all his stuff all over again, like really listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, like, you know what? That guy plagiarized himself to death. He stole everything from himself. I thought Danny Elfman was the worst at doing that. But
yeah,
looking at James Horner, oh Lord, that guy. Like, I mean, if you sort of want to go and dig him up to arrest him for it, it's like, dude, he stole from every movie he scored. So now I'm a Zimmer guy. I'm a Zimmer guy now.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like Horner, but I don't have. Dude, I just don't have the respect that I used to. You know, Braveheart, same thing. Dude, it's the same damn score. It's like, man, what did you not? Did you do anything that I hadn't heard before? Let's see. Yeah, for me,
the
though,
composer,
go ahead.
Composer that I absolutely love that nobody ever talks about, and yet he's composed some of everybody's favorite movies. Elmer Bernstein.
Oh God,
he directed The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, Animal House, Stripes, Ghostbusters, for Christ's sake. I mean, that guy scored so many incredible movies, but yet nobody ever talks about him.
Bernstein's sort of like our version of Mary Cohn. He really is. He's our version. He really is. Let's see. See, Once Upon a I would sit there for a few dollars more. I definitely would slide that into slide it to that as my favorite. I love the Conan the Barbarian score as well. Definitely a top 10 soundtrack for me. Once Upon a Time in the West, Blade Runner, and I know the movie you're talking about. I just can't pronounce it. Anthony saying maybe Horner's thinking it as recycling. Let's see. James Horner's best soundtrack has to be Commando. Steel Drums for the Win. Am I right? Dude, when I first heard that, I thought it was the same guy who did all the Miami Vice stuff because it sounded lifted straight from Miami Vice. Dude, I thought it was Harold F. from I thought that was Harold F. or Axel F. from
Axel S. Harold Faltermeyer.
Yeah, I thought that's exactly what that was. Holy shit! I heard that. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. See. Commando score really resembles 48 Hours. Well, you better, Jan Hammer did Miami Vice. And then Commandos really resembles 48 Hours score. We have to go back and see who did the score for 48 Hours because it might have been James Horner. It might have been.
Yeah, because Ry Cooder didn't do that one because he does most of Walter Hill's movies, but I don't think he did that one.
Ry Cooder is if you want to go to like a top 10 or top 15 score, dude, the Ry Cooder score for there's two. I mean, one you can go for Thelma and Louise, but the one that gets me is The Last Man Standing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Fucking brilliant. That
like
score. Talk about
the score for Southern Comfort as well.
Yeah, that's a type of score that takes an average story and just freaking elevates it up to classic. I mean, Last Man Standing without that Ry Cooder, it's a good movie. It's okay, but that Ry Cooder score comes on in there, it makes that movie as what it was intended to be. Because Last Man Standing is a mean son of a bitch movie.
Yeah.
It is mean. And that's Ry Cooder's. Oh man, great one. Bernard Herrmann has some great scores. Let's see, what's your favorite score from this year? Gladiator 2 has an underrated one. I think Gladiator has a great score.
Yeah, it's been done to death though. I mean, you were talking about trailers. Just about every trailer for like 10 years had the Gladiator music with it, Just like 20 years before that, it was Aliens. dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. I mean, it was
Oh,
like every friggin' action trailer had that aliens music.
yeah. Though, that just screams for me of laziness.
Yeah.
It's like if you're putting yourself, if you're, especially if your movie has a decent budget, and you're gonna go ahead and recycle old music
Mhm.
to wow, they hear the theme of Gladiator in here, they'll think we're sort of like Gladiator, and they'll come out and watch our movie.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not that. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that sort of keeps people away from your movie
Right.
because we,
I haven't seen Gladiator 2, by the way. I've heard very mixed things about that movie.
I heard it was good. I heard it. I heard it
Well,
was. I know
I
people.
watched like an extended sequence from it, and the CGI looked so goddamn bad that it was like, I don't know if I can handle it. I mean, about a month ago on my bi-weekly solo show that I do on my channel, my guest was Daniel from Frank's Collecting Castle from Sweden. And he was going on and on about how much he hated that movie. I mean, he was like, he couldn't come up with a single thing about that movie that he liked. He was like, his
Well,
exact quote was, "It's shit. It's complete shit." And it was like, fair enough. You know?
what are some of your what are some of your movies that like? You Kenny and Sean did your guilty pleasures.
Well,
Movies that you know. What movies do you just absolutely? What movies have other than Dirty Dancing? What movies is like soon as you hear and it better not be It Follows, or it's really going to be a dog fight. You think you hate Dirty Dancing now? Just wait. Uh,
yeah.
but what are some of the other movies? And not so much you hate, but what are some of the other movies that you just wish they would have made some different choices for?
Well, I mean, the list could go on and on. But before I start that, though, the show that we did technically was about our guilty pleasures, but we put disclaimers at the very beginning that we weren't guilty about any of those movies, that we absolutely loved them. The whole thought process behind that particular episode was finding movies that generally people think suck, but we like. For example, Jason X. Okay, that was on my list. Everybody and their brother hates that movie except for me and you, but
You,
I love it because it knows exactly what it is. Okay,
hell
so that's
yeah,
why I like it. All right,
that movie's so
but
badass.
but spinning that a little bit, movies I don't like. I just brought up Jason X. Jason Goes to Hell is an abomination. Okay, and anybody who says, "Well, no, it's different," no, it ripped off a superior movie called The Hidden.
So
You ever seen The Hidden?
allow me to enter the ring.
Okay, I know you like it.
Allow me to enter the ring for this one. I would. So I can understand why people are. Here's the problem I have with the Friday the 13th series.
Mhm.
I personally don't feel anybody can talk trash about this. Talk trash about any of the movies after the fourth one. I just don't. I just think it's like because they were never going to be happy with anything after the fourth one because Jason dies in the fourth one.
Yeah,
Jason Voorhees, the human Jason,
absolutely.
he dies. He dies. Any single movie that you do after that is never going to compare to the first four. The
I
first
agree.
four are the first four are the best. Are the
I
best.
agree.
There's a difference between saying best and favorites. Okay, you could acknowledge that it's the best movie, but this one's my favorite. So if you're gonna trash Jason Goes to Hell, you gotta trash every single movie on the same level from five. From
No,
five.
and here's why.
You
And
really
here's
do.
why. Here's why. Okay. And again, I totally agree with everything that you just said as far as like people shouldn't bitch about anything after part four as far as Jason, especially part five, okay, with the Scooby-Doo ending. It's one of my favorite memories ever is listening to people in the movie theater going, "This is bullshit." And I was just like, it's a movie, dude. Relax. Okay. The reason why I hate Jason Goes to Hell so much, okay? They try to pass it off as a Friday the 13th movie. All right.
It is.
Number one, they blow the shit out of him at the beginning, which is the best sequence by far. Okay. The opening 10 minutes of that movie is awesome. It would have been a great short film. All right. But then they retrofit some family bullshit that has never appeared in any other movie. It sounds like it was made up on the spot, and they've got some creature that's going into bodies via whatever body cavity is available via the, like the hidden, which is what I was just talking about. Okay. And suddenly that person is possessed with Jason Voorhees, where they look in a mirror and they've got the mask on and the whole 9 yards, but yet they look at you or me and it's just some zombie walking around. And then at the very end, he's reborn out of this woman.
Well, I mean, if you think about that, if people think about that and they have a problem with that, then
and a special dagger and all this other bullshit, and it's like, that's the problem I got with it. Okay.
Well, here's the problem
Jason
with
X, unlike Jason X, okay, which is so far out in right field, but it knows it. All right, and it takes the ball and runs with it and says, "Look, we're self-aware. This movie sucks." Jason Goes to Hell takes itself seriously, and that's the problem I have with it.
Here's the two things. I'll say this: if you're a horror fan, if you're a bit of a snob, and you sit around and you sit there and Trump, and push out The Exorcist as being one of the best horror movies ever made.
I won't.
Well, I will. The Exorcist is one of the best horror. It's one of the best movies ever made, and it comes across as a documentary. On top of that, sign me up. But a lot of these same people who claim to love Exorcist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll turn around and they'll look at Jason X and they'll trash him. They're like, how can you even compare both movies? They're one is a McDonald's cheeseburger, one's a T-bone steak.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Same fucking ending. Same ending. How is that different? Same. Here's the plot of the Friday. Here's Friday. Jason Goes to Hell. He gets possessed. At the end of the Exorcist, what happens? Father cares. Come unto me. Come possess me. Possess me. Out the window he goes. It's the same damn thing. It's the same plot line. What I really liked about Jason X, this is what people forget, is that Adam Marcus, who made the film, was only 23. He was only 23. It was his very first film. He was only 23 years old. They didn't give him any. They didn't really give him any directions. He went and got he went to Sam Raimi and got the Book of the Necronomicon to put in his movie to establish the Evil Dead universe within the Jason franchise. He did, and he went there and he connected Jason and Freddy. Jason Goes to Hell has a lot going for it. The cast is really good. You have Stephen King.
The only reason why they plugged in that Freddy thing at the end was because it was a New Line property and they were trying to bridge the gap. That is the only reason. That wasn't him saying, "Oh, I'm going to do this." If he says he's full of shit.
Well, he still had it was his movie. And they went to him when they asked him. They asked him, just like he went to Sam Raimi and asked Sam Raimi if he could put the Necronomicon.
Well, the Sam Raimi thing, they threw that in as an Easter egg, and he was like, no problem, because he basically just did it as a favor. But no, like I said, that guy's story has changed 5 times since that movie came out. Okay, and I've seen 2 different documentaries about the making of, and I know there's another one coming out. Okay, that he's behind. All right. And again, it's all about he said, she said. And I've never met the guy. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. I'm not shitting on him. Okay. I'm shitting on the movie. Okay. And again, I'm not disagreeing with anybody who doesn't or who does like the movie. Okay. Because like I said earlier, everybody's taste is subjective. You like what you like. Okay. But I remember watching that movie, and that is the only one that I watched. Well, no. I kind of felt that same way about Jason Takes a Boat Ride too, but I was just absolutely pissed at the end of that movie, just because again, it's Friday the 13th. It's stupid as hell. Okay. I'm not one of these purists that says you need to do this, that, and the other.
No,
okay?
I just feel honestly.
I'm sorry. That movie, like I said, it shot its load in the first scene. Okay. It's like Ghost Ship. All right. The opening scene of Ghost Ship is outstanding. Okay. Everything that happens afterwards is boring and stupid. Okay, that's the way I feel about Jason Goes to Hell. The opening sequence with the woman being chased and they blow his ass up. It's brilliant.
I just, I just feel maybe because I feel defensive about it is the fact that, he was, you got to look at the whole picture and, and like, I don't really, just, like lay the whip into anybody just because, I look at that as his first film, and you go on and you look at some of the films that he's done after,
Okay.
like
But
me,
again, I'm not shitting on him. You're thinking that I'm picking on him. I'm not.
I
Okay.
mean, well,
I
when you sit
just
there and say
don't
it's a
like that
movie,
movie.
I know, but when you say that, it's his movie, so it is
Okay.
really and he's just like how many great movies that we all know, and this is the chat too. Think about all the great movies that we watch, and the common denominator for the most part is that a lot of the directors that we watch, they're seasoned. They are seasoned. What you think Sergio Leone just walked out and threw down
Okay. But again,
no,
dude,
he didn't.
you're looking at it the wrong way, or you're looking at my criticism the wrong way.
No,
Okay.
not
I'm
yours.
not criticizing him. I'm not criticizing the fact that it was his first movie. Okay. Jim Cameron's first movie was Piranha 2, The Spawning, for God's sake. Okay. I would go so far as to say Jason Goes to Hell is a better movie than that. Okay. But
It's
again, I'm
exciting.
not attacking the filmmaker. I'm not attacking the circumstances involved. All I'm saying is that you asked me about another movie that I don't like. That's one I don't like.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between like and hate, I guess. I mean, there's some people who
Okay, that's the
like,
movie I hate. I just
okay.
I don't like it at
Like
all. I really
like
don't.
I didn't like the one. People ask me why I don't like Hereditary, and the thing about Hereditary is like I know it was a first time film for him for Ari Aster.
Yeah.
What really got me about that, and this is something in watching the film and watching it more than once, is the fact that what happened was that he lost control of his set, and his actors, and it's plain to see on the screen. It's like you're sitting there and you're watching Tony Collette overact, Gabriel Byrne not acting, and you're sitting
I
there and
totally
you
disagree about
oh,
Toni Collette. I will disagree with that vehemently.
oh,
To me, that was an award-winning performance,
yeah,
worthy performance. And
I
I'm sorry, dude. You're
okay,
not in the minority about hating that movie or not liking that movie, because I know most people don't like that movie. But you are definitely the first person I have talked to that said that she is not good in that movie.
oh, she's terrible. She gave one
Wow,
of those
that's your
she gave one
hot
of those
take of the night, pal.
she gave one of those. The only thing is missing
Okay,
from
wait a
her.
minute. Back up. She's terrible in that movie, but Kevin Hart was great in Borderlands. Are you fucking kidding me?
No. Oh my gosh, you did not watch. Oh my God, Kevin Hart was in a different movie. Kevin Hart was in a different movie. That happened. That have you not seen a movie? Have you not seen a movie where someone has stood out?
Absolutely. But like I said, you're saying
awesome.
she's terrible in that movie,
Oh,
okay?
she was.
But then you're telling me that Kevin Hart is great in Borderlands, and it's like
He really did. He certainly did.
he did his job in Borderlands. I'll give you that.
I was really because I went in there with my eyes open because I had heard everybody just racked on that, right? Everybody just I didn't know what to expect. I only wanted to see it for one reason. I wanted to see it because Haley Bennett was in it. I didn't realize till later that she was in it for like 30 seconds.
Right.
But I went and got the movie and I watched it. And I mean, and this happens. This happens when you watch a movie. And in fact, this is actually be something for you guys to do, and that is pick out a great performance in a really bad movie. That's hard. That is hard to do. Now, if you really want to elevate your game up, do it while watching some of the low budget films like the Wild Eye movies and whatnot. Try to find a gem of a performance in some of those movies. It's hard as hell, but you can do it. It's hard. It's hard because Kevin Hart at that time, if you go back and just watch just him, throw out everything else in that movie, he's in a different movie. He's not in Borderlands. I'm not in movie what he's in, but he ain't in Borderlands.
To be honest, I only got halfway through it and I turned off. But I was a fan of the games. See, I used to play the games, and the movie is nothing like the games. So that's the main problem I had with it. You know,
Well,
So
think about it. The Friday, again, Jason Goes to Hell. It wasn't like the other. It wasn't like the other Jason movies.
yeah,
All
I'm not
right.
saying, but
I
again,
mean,
I said that
yeah,
earlier. It's like Jason X. It's a different thing
yeah.
altogether. To me, Jason X works. Jason Goes to Hell does not,
Jason X
and
works.
that's just my own opinion.
I got a question for you. I got and this
Sure.
I'll throw this in the chat too. I'll throw this in the chat too. Everybody talks about the favorite kills about Jason about Friday the 13th. Do you not find it sort of weird that the two best overall fucking kills in the entire franchise were Jason himself? Jason Goes to Hell, the first 10 minutes, he gets destroyed. Jason X, KM14 just blows his ass out. I just find that funny in a slasher movie, a franchise about Jason Voorhees. The two worst ass kickings he got were by two different women, or by a woman and the military and the cops. I just thought that was sort of funny because they're always
Hey,
talking
don't
the most
forget about
vulnerable.
Corey Feldman.
A good friend
my
Dutch.
favorite kill. My favorite kill. They did. They. It's another reason why I love Jason X so much. They repeated it. Is the sleeping bag kill. It's so simple, but the first time I saw that in part 7, I think it is, I lost my shit. I was just like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that, and it's simple, it's direct, and it's awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there in the chat because I'm really curious on this. What are some of your best performances that you've seen in a movie? And you can, like I said, you can borrow this too. I mean, go ahead and take it. I love to see what you and Kenny and Sean does. What performance has stand out for you in a really not necessarily good film that has like you watch it and go like, man, this whole movie's dog meat, but holy shit, that guy really worked it. Or I'd like to know
Stone
that.
Stone
Ramon
Cold that we just talked about.
says, I didn't like Colette's performance either, Patrick. It was way over the top. It annoyed me. Hell yes, that's what
Nope.
the only thing missing about her. Even Al Pacino walked up there and said, "Girl, you're going way too far." I read
Totally
Hereditary.
disagree.
He totally disagreeing. I rated Hereditary 2.5 out of 5.0. You were much more generous than I was. It's just a decent flick.
Like I said, I know most people are very hit and miss on that movie. But personally, the first time I liked it, or first time I saw it, I didn't like it. And then I watched it a
Why didn't
second
you go
time
with
and
your
it clicked.
gut? I watched it. I'm going like, this is some horse shit.
Like Midsummer, I'll never watch again. I did not like that movie at all. That sucker was 3 hours of watching paint dry.
What about Beau Was Afraid?
Didn't even bother. Didn't even bother. I
Now,
heard.
don't you find it interesting though? Don't you find it interesting that as a first-time director? Does that mean that as a first-time director, he has come every actor has walked out and shot his first movie, and
Could be.
the rest of the movies that he's going to be doing? It's sort of like M. Night Shyamalan. He came out
Yeah.
with the sense, and all of a sudden, then he struggled. He struggled, to really recapture that.
Well, to me, Shyamalan's best movie was Unbreakable. I really liked Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
But yeah, I agree with you. He's very hit and miss at best. And some of his movies are just laughably bad.
Sometimes I think when you get a filmmaker like a George Lucas, that's the comparison I have for M. Night Shyamalan is George Lucas. It's like you went out there, you basically got lucky. He basically got lucky.
George Lucas is an innovator. He couldn't direct actors to save his life, and he cannot write dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, he really wanted. I mean, I remember. George Lucas. I'll just never. I'll never forgive him for the Red Tails. I just could not believe how in the fuck do you fuck that up? I mean, your best friend Steven Spielberg. You saw him do Saving Private Ryan. How the fuck could you fuck up Red Tails as bad as you did? And you had your best friend who showed you the pathway to making a fucking great movie, and you sit there going, like, I'm going to do this my way. And it's just like, yeah, and it stinks, and it didn't have to. Those are the worst movies for me, Jim. That the movies that come out there and they just suck, and they didn't have to.
Yeah, missed opportunities is what I call them.
Let's see. I didn't like Midsommar because I loved the original Wicker Man, 1973.
Exactly. Watch The
Yep.
Wicker Man, and not
Uh,
the one with Nicolas Cage going, "The bees, not the bees."
we're, you know what though, Nicolas Cage, he's such an acquired taste. He's such an acquired.
I like Nicolas Cage, but yeah, I there's certain movies that I can't deal with. You know?
I saw I saw him do one movie. He did it with Hayden Christensen. I can't remember the title of it, but they're playing medieval knights, and the first half of the movie is absolutely amazing. The first third
Yeah.
of the movie, absolutely amazing. And then they had this big old set piece, big old fight, and everything else, and then it was just top notch. Then we come back and we see they flash forward the movie, and then we see there's Nicolas Cage, and his character, which was so damn heroic in the first third, he is absolutely unwatchable in the last 2/3 of the movie. He's just unwatchable, and I'm thinking, this is what happens. This is sort of like, to me, it's like a director needs to come in there and not be afraid to express themselves. A good director, I was telling you before how Ari Aster lost Tony Collette and Gabriel Byrne, and you see it on the screen. I'll tell you another movie that where he saw a actor with a basically, to me, a work ethic that is very lazy, until a real director got a hold of his ass and put him through his paces. And actually, if he's really honest to himself, he'll look back there and say, "This director made me a better actor for it," and that would have been Green Lantern.
Another movie that I got about halfway through and turned off. I couldn't deal. And again, I'm not.
Yeah,
I
no,
know nothing about the comic books and all that stuff. I'm not that guy. Okay, and I like Ryan Reynolds, but
I do
that
too.
movie, I
I
turned it
I
off halfway into it.
I remember when they were going to town on, when he was going to town on that and attacking it, which I really felt that was really classless to do. If you really are upset with your own performance, fine, talk away. But when you're sitting there and you're destroying the whole film, and basically everybody that's worked on it, I just think you go way over the line. But I always said that if he was really honest about himself and really looked at his performance in Green Lantern, I think he would be really surprised to see how good of a job he really did. He
Yeah,
didn't suck in that. He didn't suck in that movie. That movie didn't
yeah,
suck.
yeah.
He
Again,
just,
I only saw half of it.
go back and
And
just
that
go back,
was years
go
ago.
back
That
and
was years ago. So
try to focus just on Ryan Reynolds. Just focus on him.
no, I like Ryan Reynolds. I
Well,
mean, shit, I like
he,
Van Wilder, for God's sake. And that
yeah,
movie's a
but
piece of shit, but he's great in it.
yeah, but he does too much. He does too much of the old. He does too much. Everything. Every performance is he's not playing anybody different than himself.
Did you
That's
ever see Buried? Did you ever
except
see
for,
Buried?
yeah. Ugh,
That movie's great, and he's great in it.
yeah, that's a fucking sad ass movie.
Oh, it's a dark movie, man. But that's the movie that kind of showed me, wow, this guy can act. He's not just a pretty boy,
You
and
know,
he's terrific in that movie.
you know, a director was a 2-part TV episode with a sort of like the same theme, and it was so damn good. It's probably one of the best things he's ever done. It
Hmm.
was in CSI and Tarantino.
I remember reading about Tarantino directing that, but I was, again, I'm not really much of a network TV person, so I
Great,
never watched it.
great episode.
Because I know
Let's see.
he directed a episode or two of ER as well back in the day.
Okay. See, agree with you on Unbreakable, masterpiece.
Yeah,
Deconstruction of superhero flick. Yeah, but again, the last 10 minutes of it, just like, oh, and then when he did Split and Glass. You
that
know,
glass thing was just god awful, man. Here's this guy, Bruce Willis, is supposed to be this invincible, unbreakable guy, and he gets drowned in a puddle that deep.
yeah.
What kind of bullshit was that? I mean,
That's what I mean. I mean, it's like that's what I mean about M. Night
and that movie
Shyamalan.
was 2 hours long, and an hour and a half of it, it's just the three of them locked up being psychoanalyzed by somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
God, that movie was horrible.
That's what I mean.
Horrible.
Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay. Like another movie he produced but didn't direct. But it's one of his best movies that he's associated with was Devil.
Yeah,
Devil was fantastic, but he
yeah,
only produced it. He didn't write it and he didn't
yeah,
direct it, and it was great.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I like
and I
that
felt
movie.
like that when I saw that he was going to be doing Glass. I kept on thinking, well, like, why doesn't he just hire a writer? If he
Right.
would have hired a writer for that, that thing would have been a classic. But he didn't. His ego got in the way.
Yep.
And that's one thing you can sit there and say about first time directors is that they don't have that ego. Thank God. Most of the time they come in with butterflies in their stomach, like, okay, I don't want to fuck up.
Yeah.
And that includes Ari Aster. He didn't mean for that to happen. He just, but here, that's it again, though, in a sense, I can understand it. I mean, sometimes, when I talk to a lot of the directors on a questions with, it's one of those questions I ask is, like, what is it like meeting somebody like that for the first time? Because you know what, they're just like us. They're fans. You
Right.
know, when someone the first time they meet Al Pacino, they're freaking fans. It's like, hell yeah, I can't believe I got, hell, even I think I got like 85% of the directors I've interviewed. I think they've all worked with Eric Roberts, and they'll sit there and say the same thing. The first time they met Eric Roberts, they were a little bit starstruck. It's like, it's Eric Roberts. And they're like,
Right.
and I can understand that. And I think sometimes that's what happened with Eric. Like I said, I think that's what happened with Ari Aster. Here he is. He's got Tony Collette. He's got Gabriel Byrne as well as that. Gabriel Byrne is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
He's one of my very favorite stars. He's just amazing. But I just think that he got there and he got overwhelmed by that. I think that's really what happened. I think he got overwhelmed by his stars and he didn't know how to rein it in. That happens. And to me, it's like I feel bad for Adam Marcus. It's like I would have loved to seen Adam have a chance to do maybe a short film beforehand. I mean, if he had gotten a couple of short films underneath his belt, maybe Goes to Hell goes a different way. But I do have to respect the fact that it was his first damn movie at 23. I don't know very many 23-year-olds get handed a franchise on a platter and get told them to carry it forward into battle. I don't
Again,
know.
I'm not
Yeah.
attacking him, man.
No,
I
I know
mean,
you're not. I know you're
I
not.
couldn't make a movie that good, and I'm 57. Okay, but
Yeah.
again, that doesn't, just because it was his first movie doesn't mean that I have to like it.
No,
You know
no,
what I mean?
totally. I just,
I
I
hope he
just,
gets another. I truly hope he gets another shot.
oh, he did.
And
He
if he
did a
gets
great
another
movie.
shot, and with a decent budget, let's see what he can do with it. I mean, by all means, I'm all
He
for
did,
it.
yeah, he did do another a low budget movie. He did one called Secret Santa. That movie's fucking bonkers. That
Yeah,
movie's
again,
bonkers.
never heard of it.
Oh, I'm sure one of you three will probably know about it. Um,
Yeah, I'm
what,
sure.
so let's talk a little bit about. We've been talking about this, but let's talk. Let me ask you. What made you decide to do your? Oh, Can I have you for like 18 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, So what did you do? How did you get you started with your interview show? I mean, where's the I mean, you mentioned before you're a journalism, you're majoring in journalism. When did you decide to do the interview show on YouTube? Because there's a lot of good interviewers out there, aren't there?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with, okay, well, I'm actually on two live streams. I'm on the Talking Movies with Sean, Kenny, and Jim. That's on every 2 weeks. And that actually started because of you. Because you interviewed those two guys on one of these episodes, and I happened to tune in. And it sounded interesting. So I tuned in to check out I think that was like their second episode when they had at that point. And just started talking to them in the chat, and they invited me to be a guest. And that's how that started. And then I was a guest a couple of times, and then they asked me to be their co-host, and that started.
Yeah, yeah, you have a good voice. That's what
Yeah, that's
when you were talking. I noticed that you had a great voice, and I said
yeah,
they could use that.
that's I've been saying for years I've got a face for radio. But anyways, but I started doing that with them, and I really enjoyed it. And then when my year anniversary came up on my channel, quite honestly, at the end of the year, I was getting really burned out. At Halloween, I was trying to crank out a video every day,
Oh,
and I didn't quite get there, but I almost did. I cranked out like 26 videos in 31 days and got seriously burned out. And the only fun I was having at that point was doing the live show with those two guys. And that became like the highlight of my week.
yeah.
So I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm starting to get burned out on the videos, but I don't want to quit the channel. But I really enjoy the feedback that I get with my subscribers, you know? So I just decided at the beginning of the year, the direction that my channel was going to go in was we were going to start doing these live shows every 2 weeks. And we've done 4 of them so far, and they've been great. You know, the views haven't been huge. I mean, I've been averaging maybe 150, 200 views, but that's not what it's about. For
Right.
me, first and foremost, it's about talking to people like you. Okay. I mean, the show is very much like yours, where I just get a random person from the community that's a subscriber of mine, that I'm a subscriber of theirs. We're the mutual admiration society, so to speak. And I just get them on my show for 2 hours, and it's literally called Shooting the Shit with Jim, because that's all we do. I ask them questions, but for the most part, we just have a conversation for 2 hours and see where it goes, and answer questions from the chat. And like I said, it's been awesome. I've been having a blast. And
How
what
do
I've
you?
been trying to do was alternate. At the first guest every month is somebody from Europe or overseas somewhere. And then the second episode each month is somebody from America. And I'm trying to mix it up, you know, with different types of channels and different. Last week I had Corey from Wilkie's Movies and Music, and half the show we didn't even talk about movies. We talked about music. You know, this coming Saturday I'm going to have Dan from the Talking Movies live stream over in the UK. He's one of Carlos's partners in crimes on the Westerns for Life podcast, and we're going to sit there and talk about who knows what for 2 hours, but it's going to be fun, you know. And by getting, a lot of my subscribers are from the UK for some reason. I've got a lot of subscribers from the UK.
Yes.
So that's why I've been trying to do this at a time where it's
I enjoy.
conducive
I
for them to
enjoy.
watch it live as well.
I go ahead and I can always, I always tell folks that you can always tell when I'm going to be doing an interview from international wise, because I'll start at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go on too late, because I know the time difference. I feel bad because I go on at 8 o'clock, and I have seen in fact, speaking of Friday the 13th, I saw on another podcast, Steven did House of Horrors, and he got he got Tom McLaughlin to come out and hang out.
Wow. Cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Jim, you could not even guess how utterly furious it was to sit there and see Steven grab Tom McLaughlin at 8 o'clock and have like 4 people in the chat.
Wow. That
Um,
sucks.
it sucks. And one of the 4 that stayed with the whole damn show was Voss man. He stayed for the whole damn show, and he's in Europe. So he
Yeah.
was.
No, I'm a fan of him.
Me too.
I remember One Dark Night. I saw that theatrically with Adam West and E.G. Daly and Meg Tilly. Holy shit, I haven't thought of that movie in years.
Eric, how are you? If we were a tag team, just if we were a tag team, or as far as me and Adam and Eric goes, we would actually be a tag team, because he's a tremendously and he's a gifted interviewer. I'm not sure if you've seen Eric's interviews yet, but they're extremely gifted. Um, it says that it sucks when no one shows up for your interviews. Just keep the concert, yeah, just keep the concert going and don't let that affect you. The conversation, yes. Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. I love talking about with folks from all over.
Yeah.
So what countries have you gotten so far? I mean, I know have you had Jeff on your show yet?
Not yet, because unfortunately he works on Saturdays. So we're
Okay.
going to try to work out a scheduling where it's conducive for him. But yeah, the first one was Carlos. He was in England. And then I had Daniel. He was from Sweden. I'm going back to the UK with Dan from Dan's Movie Cave.
All
And
right.
I'm gonna try to get either Matt from Matt V's movies, Roy from Blue Roy's movies, or Stuart from Stuart. I tried to get a hold of Stuart from Stuart George's home movies, and because me and him, we go back and forth in my comments a lot. But unfortunately, that's the one day a week that he gets to spend with his wife. So I'm trying to talk him into appearing on the show, but I'm having limited success. But what I really want to do is I got a guy in Australia that I would love to have on, but that time difference is crazy, so
yeah, you have to go on. If you go on at 8 o'clock here, it's like noontime there the next day.
yeah. And like I said, my show is normally at 1 o'clock Central Time, so that way in the UK it's 7 o'clock. But this coming week it's actually going to be at noon because Dan works on Sundays and he's has to get up at like 3 a.m. his time. So he asked me if I could start that episode an hour early, and by all means, I was willing to accommodate that. So that will be at a special time on Saturday.
What has surprised you so far about you doing your interview show? What have you picked up on, or were surprised to hear from any,
The feedback has been great. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback, and it's just been fun. Like I said, it's great to talk to people. It's nice to talk to people in comments, but it's better to have an actual conversation, Like Carlos, for instance, he was one of my first subscribers. I had been talking to him for over a year without actually hearing the sound of his voice, other than it being on YouTube, before we actually had a proper conversation, And it was great. And it's been that way with everybody so far. And hopefully it continues. But it's like I said, the feedback between the feedback with the person that I'm talking to and the feedback in the audience, it's been phenomenal. Occasionally we'll get thrown some curveball topic from somebody that we don't expect, and it's sometimes hard to not let that derail you. But I try to roll with it, and again, on my show, it's basically, like I said, it's called shooting the shit for a reason. There's no pressure, there's no agenda. It's all about just sitting there and talking. When I'm on with Sean Kenny and me, obviously, Sean Kenny and Jim are one of our guests, there's a lot less pressure because now there's a group of us. Right. So you can kind of keep passing the buck, so to speak, to the next guy to keep the conversation going. And you don't feel like you have to,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
One-on-one is much more of a difficult format,
yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
It really is. It's, I know, I've seen some shows with co-hosts, and I think that helps in some respects. But I feel one-on-one, I just feel like you get more organic feel for it, more conversation,
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's for me anyway, I think that works. And I agree about the feedback. That's something I wish I could get more of. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I don't get the feedback really at all. Because compared to my list of guests I get on, yeah, I don't get anything close to what it should be. It
sorry
happens.
to hear that.
Oh no, that's not anybody's fault. It's just it depends how people want to listen to it, and if they want to drop a comment or two, that's great. Um, you know, I just of course you're doing it there, not for the you're not doing it for the for the views or necessarily the feedback, though feedback is necessary. Like I've asked before, I says, what would you like to see on here? What kind of guests would you like to see? Hard to know what kind of guests that people want to see when they don't really tell you. So
Right.
you go back and you just go ahead and get the guests, whatever guests you can get, whatever genre it is. To me, the most important thing I've learned is like diversify. And that is try not to do just one of too many. Like obviously I do actors and directors, but if I did them every single show all the time, I could understand why I don't get anything. But I try to mix it up. I like talking to tubers. I think tubers are a lot of fun to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, I get to talk a little bit longer than I normally do. I have 90 minutes. I do 90 minutes for my regular show, but I can go up to 2 hours for the tuber because it's a friend.
Right.
Let's see. Eric says I'll always do it for the conversation and the love of movies, but having feedback is always a bonus. Oh yeah, what channels? I'm gonna put you on the spot here, but be honest, of course. But as an interviewer, which channels would you recommend if someone said, "Hey, I'm thinking about listening to a interview show on the tube, or start my own show on the tube." What are some of the things would you tell a rookie?
To be honest, I don't really watch too many interview channels. Yours is about the only one I watch. Most of the channels I watch are either I watch a lot of reaction channels, believe it or not. That's something I've been doing since I worked at the movie theater, because I used to stand in the back of the movie theater as an usher and watch people watch movies. And I watch people on YouTube doing the same thing. I don't know why. It's just me. But most of the movie channels that I watch are either collectors, or they basically run channels like mine. I mean, and getting back to feedback, I don't mean feedback as far as putting out a poll and saying, "Hey, what kind of video do you want me to put out?" In the chase of that views. I just crossed 600 subscribers, and that's 600 subscribers more than I ever thought I would have.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm grateful. Okay. But at the end of the day, it sounds selfish. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing this for me. It's something that I enjoy. Okay. And the content that I put out, I try to mix it up. Like I did that drive-in series, and I did the one-off about cold weather movies because I was cold that day. But most of my content is very similar to other people's.
Well, I like your collection videos, the ones where you'll put the spread of movies out there. These are the movies that I watched from. These are my Martin Sheen movies, and you'll have them all there listed out there. I think that's a really cool concept.
I started doing that with directors, but I was running out of directors that I had most of their filmography, and quite honestly, I was getting tired of going out and buying movies that I didn't like to try to finish the list.
So did you end up buying Midsommar and on?
I bought Midsommar as a blind buy. I got that for $5 on Amazon, and I haven't watched it since. But I'll keep it in my collection. There's worse movies than that on my shelf. Let's put it that way.
Oh, we got to see that. As everybody already knows, me and the Cheetah, we have no bad movies in our collection. Or our collection. Our collection.
Yeah.
There's not a single bad movie. My friend Eric, he can tell you. Eric can tell you. Eric knows when it comes down to picking out great movies. There's not very many people that do a better job than I do, and he knows about it. Let's see. And there's Steven in here. Hey, welcome in. As a matter of fact, it's almost time for us to be thinking about a schlock battle. Let's see. I don't like reaction channel. Most of them are fake, or at least they're faking on a regular basis. The ones that come out of the theater, reaction. I dig those. I'm with you about that. If someone comes out of the theater and says, because you're always so hyped,
right?
It's not like if they're a bad movie, you won't know about it till like 30 minutes later. Like, now that I think about it, man, maybe that wasn't such a good movie. But when they first come out of the theater, I remember when I saw It Part 1.
Yeah.
And there's like 30 of us all walking out there, and we're all quiet, and we're standing around and we're looking at each other, and someone says something, and next thing you know, there's all of us just talking about that movie.
Yeah.
Talking about the movie. And it was amazing. It was fun. I just got banned from my own channel. I get kicked out a lot. I would love to see what you would do for like the worst movies you have in your collection.
I did that a long time ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's 2 videos on there from way back when, but the first one is called "Why Do I Own These Movies?"
Oh,
and
okay.
it was my my picks for the 10 absolute worst movies in my collection. And these were not guilty pleasures. These were movies that I generally do not like.
But you
And
kept them, didn't you?
huh?
But you still have
I'm
them.
the type of guy that I don't throw anything out. I mean I'd feel guilty about bringing the Entourage movie to the Goodwill store and donating that piece of shit. I mean that movie's horrible.
That's a great idea. I know, isn't it? Why do I own this? You know what? That's actually a really good. That'd be a
Yeah,
good.
that I did that like shit last spring, I think. And the funniest thing ever was one guy's comment was, "What are you talking about? These movies are great, dumbass." And he misspelled dumbass.
Oh, that would actually be a really interesting that because honestly, I mean, I go through and of course because I blind buy so much. So let's see. Good question. Why do I own all these Steven Seagal movies? Oh
Yeah,
shit!
see, I only own no, I almost said only one, but actually two. I
I
own Under Siege because I love Under Siege.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I own Executive Decision because it's part of a 4-pack. And to be
Mhm.
honest, that movie's great because he gets sucked out of an airplane in 10 minutes and it's like
Right,
great. Yeah.
right.
I
I
hate that
only
guy.
I think I have two Seagal movies. I thought I had just one, Under Siege. Um, I should have got Under Siege 2 because I gotta admit I actually like something. I actually like Under Siege 2 as well.
Eric
Uh,
Bogosian.
wow. dude, seriously? If you close your eyes, I swear it's like listening to Hereditary. That guy Eric, he that guy turned around. He put chewing on scenery to a whole new level.
Yeah.
But I like the bad guy. He was the main bad guy in
Yeah.
Heartbreak Ridge. Dude, he
Oh, Everett
actually did.
McGill?
Yes.
I met him once.
Did you really?
Yeah, I went to a Fangoria weekend of horrors in Chicago back in the day, and him and Wendy Roby were there promoting The People Under the Stairs. And I got to meet him like in a little meet and greet, only for a couple of moments, but he was a really nice guy. And I asked him about Quest for Fire. And he was like, he kind of did a double take and he was like, really? And I was like, yes, I've been a fan of yours ever since Quest for Fire. And he was like, that's great. And he actually shook my hand. He was like, and he generally seemed, flattered that I had been a fan of his for, at that point, a decade, starting off with the Caveman movie, and I still love Quest for Fire. But yeah, really nice guy, for the 5 minutes that I talked to him.
Let's see. So, yeah, Jeff says, good question. Why did I own all these Seagal movies? See, Eric says, I own one Seagal movie, Out for Justice, and I question that decision. Oh, by the way, Eric, yes, your favorite action movie did get talked about today. Eric absolutely loves Stone Cold.
Yeah. And
Yep,
again,
yep,
Lance Henriksen, because you were
yep.
saying find a
Yeah.
good actor in a bad movie. There's a perfect example. Lance Henriksen and William Forsythe are the reason why I love that movie so much because they are awesome in it.
Yeah. I like Lance Henriksen and I liked him and Arnold Vosloo when they did Hard Target together.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing. Those two make that movie. Wilford Brimley with the worst Cajun accent in history. It's so good. Do not spill, kill the grass. I mean, it's like, what the hell are you saying? Bonjour, chance.
How about the snake though? The snake looked straight out of a party store, a spirit.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hard Target is a Stone Cold classic. I saw what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Those
Yeah,
two make a great double feature, actually.
dude, no
They
doubt.
really do.
I know a lot of people I know some people. I don't think Eric quite liked Hard Target. And all I just say was watch Hard Target 2, and it'll make you appreciate the first Hard Target so much more.
Hard Target is a John Woo movie.
Yeah,
Enough said.
Hard Target 2 is a piece of poo. Even though
Yeah.
even though it had Scott Adkins in it. How the fuck do you blow a Scott Adkins movie? How do you mess that up?
Scott Adkins was probably, well, no, he was my second favorite thing about John Wick 4 in the fat suit. I thought he was great in that movie, but
I like it. I like the
the
choice.
blind guy. My brain just went dead.
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. Thank you, Donnie Yen. I want to see a spinoff with that character right now. I don't care about anything else in the John Wick universe. I want to see that movie right now with that character.
Man, that's Donnie Yen is just amazing.
He's so good in that movie as Kane. I love him in that movie.
What do you guys got going here? Let's see. Scott Adkins is also in the shitty fourth Universal Soldier movie. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
gave up after the second shitty Universal Soldier movie, but he's correct.
I promise you, it won't be worse than Hard Target 2. Hard Target. Oh yeah.
Okay, but the real question, Patrick, is what's worse, Hard Target 2 or Hereditary?
Hereditary. Hereditary is always going to be number one. But Hard Target 2 is pushing it because that was. Well, though, I mean, I get more upset as far as what I said. What I said earlier. What really bothers me about that is the fact of wasted talent. There's nothing worse than watching a movie. You and I were talking earlier about picking a good performance out of a shit movie. Mm. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
I watched this movie called Hercules Reborn, and it was an asylum movie, and it was a mock-off of Hercules. I'm not even kidding you. Jim. They had this young actor. Don't know who he was. Don't even know. I couldn't even tell you who his name is now. All I know was that this guy was in a different mind frame. He was in a different movie because this whole movie sucked, but him. He was outstanding. It's like, wow, this guy's really, really good. He's the type of guy that you go ahead and you go to the IMDb and you find out his name. Like, who is this guy? He's really good. I felt like that way, even I felt that way with The Unholy. The Unholy was a good movie. Mm-hmm. But this young actor who played the priest, a Spanish priest in it, his performance was elevated. It was like, wow, this guy's really good. I mean, he's making this movie work. Right. And I'm like, who is this? Because his performance was that good, and maybe not in the best movie. I mean, even though The Unholy wasn't too bad, which was a shocker. Let's see. Kindergarten Cop 2. Never seen that. Never seen Kindergarten Cop 2. I think, is that the one with Jackie Chan? Collecting a paycheck?
No idea.
Let's see. But Hard Target 2. Oh, Jesus Christ. I was watching it for 40 minutes. I was watching it for 40 minutes. I'm like, can't you at least send the guy to the bathroom or something so he's doing something? Oh, it's just awful.
Suffering from PTSD.
Kindergarten Cop had Dolph Lundgren in it. Yeah. Dolph Lundgren has turned into a really decent actor.
Yeah, he got better.
He's really has. He's worked at his craft.
Yeah, I got better.
I have no problem at all sitting there saying I would watch a Dolph Lundgren movie. Whereas a few years ago, you wouldn't be saying that. You'd be sitting there going like, Dolph Lundgren.
I own I Come in Peace.
I have.
I do.
I have in the Name of the King a Dungeon Siege tale. That was actually a badass movie. Yui Bowl, he rocked it.
Yui Bowl, don't even get me going with that guy.
Yui Bowl, you know what? I love some of Yui Bowl's movies. I'm a big fan of The Dark. I
haven't seen a Yui Bowl movie in years.
What is it? Alone in the Dark? I think it was with the
Christian Slater.
Yeah, that was fun. Tara Reid.
What is it with you and bad video game movies?
I saw House of the Dead 2.
House of the Dead 1 is an abomination.
I have not seen the first one.
That's one of the worst movies ever made. That's why when I think of Yui Bowl, that's what immediately pops into mind. It's like, oh my God, is that movie bad?
And he also produced a movie called Backcountry that came out on ISC. That movie's a bad.
Oh, that's the one with the bear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That's a good movie.
Yep. So,
but I like killer bear movies. You know, that's a soft spot for me.
I saw Grizzly before I saw Jaws.
I saw Grizzly at the drive-in when I was 9 years old. Yeah, and love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Love it.
Because my
even as a 9-year-old, though, I was like, why does the park ranger have a bazooka?
Yeah. He must have got that from Chief Brody. Yeah. And the Blood Rain trilogy, that's right, with Christiana Loken and I forget.
Yeah, more video game movies.
Yeah, Natalie. She played Typhoon Mary and Electra. Yeah, yeah, and she played the princess in the Loft Lundgren movie too. In the Name of the King, a Dragon Tale. That was a funny movie. I mean, it was fun. It was fun, but it was very good. It was again another one of those movies where it had a standout performance by one particular actor named Alec Panovic, who's done some good stuff since. All right, so what's going on with your channel? Real quick, what's going on with what's going on with Talking Movies with Kenny, Sean, and Jim? What are you guys going to be talking about next Tuesday?
Yeah, next Tuesday night at 7:00 Eastern time. It's going to be the three of us. We haven't locked down our fourth guest or our next guest yet. We're hoping he might have gotten back to the guys while we were talking. I don't know, but the topic is going to be comfort movies that if you're switching channels on the TV, no matter what part of the movie it's in, you stop and you watch it. And we're going to be talking about some of our favorite movies that would fit that category, whether it's from the childhood or from today. Superman, so that's going to be our topic on Tuesday night. And that you can watch that live on Sean's channel at Movie Assault or at the Talking Movies at Talking Movies 2024. Those are the two channels that you can watch it live. And that is from 7 until 9 Eastern time on Tuesday the 11th.
And as far as shooting the shit with Jim,
that next episode will be on this coming Saturday at noon Central Time, so 1:00 Eastern Time. And like I said earlier, my guest for that will be Dan. He used to have a channel called Dan's Movie Cave for years. He's been on YouTube for 10 years, okay? But most people know him from the Westerns for Life podcast or the Talking Movies livecast that he does with Carlos and Jeff. Carlos is Eastwood for Life fan, and Jeff is 101 Bronson. All three of them are from Europe. Carlos and Dan are from the UK. Jeff is from the Netherlands. And all three of them are fantastic guys. And I'm really looking forward to the talk with Dan. I found out from my good friend Carlos, he gave me a little inside information. It turns out our good friend Dan is a Canon fan. Canon films, I mean.
Who isn't calls himself a cinephile? Who really isn't a Canon fan?
Exactly. So I'm definitely going to be working that angle. So if you're a Canon film fan, by all means, tune into that. You know, I'll whore out my show a little bit. That you can find that one on my channel at Jim's Movie Channel.
Eric just put down his one of his comfort movies. Oh, it happens to be Jason Goes to Hell. How about that?
That's fair enough.
That's funny. That's funny as hell.
At least it ain't Dirty Dancing.
You know, there's two movies there's two Canon movies I want to get. There's two Canon movies I've yet to see that I really like to get. One, I'd like to see Bolero.
Oh, that's a movie.
I have heard mixed emotions. I've heard some people that say that they like it, and then some people say that not so much.
It's a movie.
I know Bo Derek. I know Bo Derek gets naked in it, but
so does Olivia Diabo.
Oh, and the other movie I like to see, it had Richard Chamberlain in it. It was Dr. Quartermain and
The Lost City of Gold.
Right. I think he did two of those, right?
King Solomon's Mines was the first one.
Right.
And now, I know City of Gold was the sequel.
Patrick Swayze did one of those.
Uh, what?
He did one of those Dr. Quartermain movies. He did the Lost City of Gold, separate movie, but he did one.
Never saw it.
Yeah, that's the one I want because I had Richard Chamberlain in it, and it has Sharon Stone. This is back when
And Elvira is in the second one.
Okay.
She's the evil queen in City of Gold. Earlier I mentioned that Electric Boogaloo doc. Okay, the Canon doc.
Right.
They cover those two movies in that doc, and oh my god, it's hysterically funny.
That documentary.
And you can watch that movie for free on YouTube. Uncut.
Yeah, that's a must. I picked up my copy at a Dollar Tree.
Yeah, it's so good. It is so entertaining. I want to see the apple.
Favorite Canon films, Eric? Invasion USA.
Yep, absolutely.
Anything with Richard Lynch in it. The Ninja Trilogy, Bloodsport, and Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe had Meg Foster in it.
Yep. Invasion USA is probably my favorite Canon film, that or Life Force. But I would say the best one, without a doubt, is Runaway Train. Without a doubt.
Jess says, but then again, I also enjoy Over the Top.
I'm sorry. Although I am a big fan of Robert Loggia. I think he's great.
Yeah. I think about plot lines like when someone sat down to write Over the Top. You just want to know what went through their head, like put hand here, then here or here. Okay, let me put that. Let me type that up and then send it on its way.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't think I think you're right. I think Stallone would probably disown Rhinestone before he would disown Over the Top.
Yeah, he got paid a hell of a lot of money for Over the Top. So
yeah. All right, boys and girls. Tomorrow night we'll be back. We'll be back here. We'll be talking with filmmakers Matt Taft and Ian Kane. They'll be here tomorrow to talk about their new film, Emergence 2028. I don't think we're going to have Bai Ling join us. I was hoping that Bai would come back for a visit. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's all right because we got two young filmmakers that are hungry and determined and ready to rock and roll. And we'll be here tomorrow night at 8:00. I like them. I like them a lot, actually. They put me through my paces for this interview, but I'm all right with it because to me, it showed desire. It showed fire, and I'm all right with that. And if I didn't put their names quite right, I misspelled one name. I had a typo. They were like, "Could you fix that?" I'm like, "Sure." And so I did. And they're like, "Could you fix that?" I went, "Oh no, I did. I got you covered." And then I went back and swept it again. I totally get it. And then they're like, "Could you put this one guy's name in front of the other name?" And I'm going like, all right, let me see what I can do. And to me, it's sort of smacked of professionalism. I really like the idea, like this guy's taking care of his partner. He says, "Hey, could you put his name first? Because he's going to be the one. He's going to be the face." And I'm just I'm the executive producer, but I'd like to make sure he gets pushed up first and foremost. So I really appreciated that, and I highly respect that, and it's all right, and it keeps me on my toes as an interviewer as well. So I have no problem with that. I'm looking forward to talking to them both. I have a feeling they're both going to be rather intense, and I'm all right with that. So they'll be here tomorrow night. That will be our last show of the week, too. We're only going to be doing 2 shows this week. And then next week, we will be back. And we'll be talking with our good friend Kelly Goody on the 11th. That'll be I'm going to Europe. I'm going to Europe for that. I'm going to the UK, and we're talking with Kelly Goody Price. She's one of my very favorite guests ever, and she's also a really sweet friend. And then on the 12th, we'll be talking to Will Soto, who runs the Red Treehouse podcast, and he is a storyteller. He explores all things cryptid, urban legends, truth, folk tales, and we'll be talking to him about those on the 12th. And then on the 19th, we welcome in Emmy winner Don Watts from Dancing Dan. Dan Watts from Dancing Dan Productions. He promises to have some stories about a lot of bands and some of the music icons that he's worked with. So
Very
we
good.
are still working hard. Yeah, we still got more holes to fill. Hopefully, we'll get those done by tomorrow. And then on the 16th, we'll be doing a Midnight Society on a Saturday. It's gonna be me and Kyle Flett Curtis, Curtis Flett. Him and I will be taking on. He's taking on Superman 78 to talk about Clash of the Titans. Which movie's better? Not so much better, but which movie we love more. He picked Superman 78, which happens to be my very favorite movie. So I had to think long and hard about what movie do I match him up against. I'm matching up with Superman Returns. And that one will be raising some eyebrows because that movie is criminally underrated. And in some respects, even outdoes the first Superman. Even outdoes his first Superman. So we'll be talking about that on the 16th at 8 o'clock, and here on the channel. And hopefully we'll see you guys. Hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow. If not, we'll see you on your other channels. Last thing I guess I should throw out there is the Midnight Hour is on Thursday at 11 o'clock, 200th episode. All right. Thanks for watching. Stay right where you're at, Jim, and to everybody else, thank you guys all for your support. And yeah, how about some fur flying for good old Jason? I love it. That's right. Wait till Jim invites me on to shooting the shit, and we're talking about Borderlands. Woo!
Yeah. Nice. Thank you so much for having me, Patrick.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you.